Today we are taking a look at the JHS PG-14 pedal, adding it to the board, seeing how it sounds, seeing how it works with some of the other pedals. I'm usually not too much of a distortion stomp box guy. I usually like using the distortion from the amp when I can, especially if I have a beautiful amp like the Victory Super Kraken here. I'm going to show you the difference in a minute by comparing the distortion in the amp that I use in most of my videos with the PG-14, seeing how it compares, seeing how it's a bit different, and also just kind of taking a look at some of the features on this pedal and the sounds that it gives you. Now, this video is not sponsored in any way. I have nothing to do with JHS pedals. This is actually a pedal that I rented from my local guitar store this week to try out, to add it to the board, to see how it works with some of the other pedals on here, and just to give it a shot and kind of see the tone difference. So completely unbiased, unsponsored, nothing to do with JHS, but we'll check it out and see how it sounds. I would say this is kind of in the middle of an overdrive and distortion. You can see I have the drive pretty much cranked up. It's at like 9.5 here, and it's giving you a really nice saturated tone, saturated sound where it gives you nice sustain. It has plenty of mid-range, a lot of mid-range to this pedal. I only have the mid about halfway at 5, but it definitely cuts through the mix with strong mids. It's cool that it has this push feature, which almost simulates, pushing a tube amp and getting it, really pushing to the limits. If you crank up the push, it almost has kind of like a fuzz tone to it. You can hear it kind of, pushing against the threshold there and getting that kind of push sound, which is really cool. Here's the clean tone, by the way, of what I'm playing against. It has a really cool sound to it. It's unlike a lot of other distortion pedals that I've played. Again, I haven't played a ton of them, but it just has a unique characteristic with that kind of push sound where it's like fighting the amp in a good way. For a nice lead tone, if I add some delay and reverb here, and by the way, this is my new reverb pedal that I just picked up on the weekend, the TC Electronics Trinity. Trying that out, trying to, dial in a tone with it. It sounds pretty good so far. Now, just to show you the difference, as I said, with comparing it to the Victory amp. So Victory amp has two distortions, or two channels. It has an overdrive and distortion. So channel 1, if I put it on crunch mode, sounds like this, and I'll have a similar amount of gain to the pedal. Comparing that with the pedal. And then if we compare it to channel 2, the one that I use for most of my videos for the high gain sound. can hear a big difference in tone, and that's why personally I always prefer the distortion from a good amp like this. But also as a gigging musician, as a professional musician, you may not always have the availability of a nice amp or the option of bringing your own amp to all gigs. So it is nice to have a Distortion stomp box, or at least have a couple of them as options, so that you can kind of plug into any backline and have a reliable, consistent tone using your pedal board. And quickly, I'll show you the tone options here, because I have it about, 5 or 6 right now. If we turn down the tone, you get a much darker tone. And then if you crank up the tone, it's pretty bright. So if I put it back to about 5 or 6. Also, if I turn down the drive, I'll put the drive about halfway, the push about halfway. You can hear it cleans up nice, and a very much overdrive sound versus what I would consider distortion. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments. This might be a cool series to start, where I add a pedal to the board and see how it works in the tone setup with the amp and some of the other pedals on the board. Preferably, I would rent the pedals or grab them from someone I know, so that it's a completely honest, unbiased opinion. But I like this one. I think it's pretty cool for that high mid-range sound. Maybe for a lead tone, I don't know if I would use this so much for a rhythm tone. It has a little too much mid no matter how you tweak it. For a lead tone, this does have a nice sound to it. So again, you guys let me know what you think in the comments. What other pedals would you like to see added to the board to try out? Whether it's distortion pedals, overdrives, modulations, spatial pedals, whatever it is. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.